Hello and welcome back. This is your host Harshit Sinha with another interesting topic. The Security and Exchange Board of India introduced the Business Responsibility and Sustainability Report framework to enhance the sustainability and environmental, social, and governance reporting of Indian companies. This framework aims to provide a standardized approach for companies to disclose their sustainability initiatives, thereby promoting greater transparency, accountability, and alignment with the global best practices. The primary objective of BRSR framework are enhance the transparency, standardization, encourage ESG integration, and promote responsible investment. The key feature of BRSR is for mandatory reporting to 1000 listed companies as on today, with the comprehensive coverage with a wide range of ESG parameters that are organized under three headings as to make general disclosure, management and process disclosure, and principle-wise performance disclosures. Well, these disclosures must alignment with the set of global standard having integrated with all type of data or information with holistic approach and report in the detailed prescribed reporting format for the listed company. The adoption of BRSR framework provides benefits for the companies for their enhanced reputation, mitigation risk, make sure to attract capital and enhance cost saving, operational efficiency. This will help SEBI's BRSR framework represent a significant step towards embedding sustainability to the core operation of Indian business. However, one must understand the various sustainable ESG format developed over the time. This presentation not only helps us to understand the concept of SEBI's BRSR framework, but also will explain the details of each format associated with it. Well, this slide discusses the milestones of BRSR ESG reporting format. It is very difficult to benchmark the origin of ESG in India, but it is believed that the socially responsible investing has been over for 2 decades. The origin of the term ESG can be traced back to the early 2000s when investment managers and other stakeholders begin to recognize the importance of considering the non-financial factor in their decision-making process, tending more towards a holistic approach that emphasizes the importance of the considering a range of environmental, social, governance factors in investment decision rather than just focusing on a few specific issues. The early seed of ESG refers way back to an array from 2009 to 2012, where in 2008 India's first sustainability index, the S&P ESG India Index, was launched to track ESG performance to the top 50 companies. In the same year, in 2009, in India, the voluntary guidelines on corporate social responsibility by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs marked the initial push forward towards sustainable practice. By introducing the National Voluntary Guidelines on Corporate Social Responsibility, these guidelines provided a framework for companies to engage in responsible business practice and contribute to societal and environmental well-being. They outlined the principle for ethical conduct, transparency, stakeholders engagement, human rights, and environmental sustainability. In 2011, the United Nations Human Rights Council unanimously endorsed the guiding principle for business and human rights, establishing the first global standard for preventing and addressing the risk of adverse human rights impact linked to business activity. These principles are developed on three pillars: the state duty to protect human rights, the corporate responsibility to respect the human right, and access to the remedies for the victim of the business related abuse. The endorsement marked a significant step in integrating the human right consideration into corporate governance and accountability practice globally. However, the National Volunteer Guidelines on Responsible Business Conduct (NGRBC) by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs (MCA), developed in 2011, further strengthened the focus on the environmental and social responsibility. This This follows the Securities and Exchange Board of India in 2012 made a mandate business responsibility reporting, that is BRR, for the top 100 listed companies in 2012, and looking the market capitalization, it was extended among 500 companies in 2015 and in 2021 to 1000 listed companies, making ESG consideration into the financial reporting. Further, the National Voluntary Guidelines for Responsible Business conducted in 2009 was later encouraged in 2013 for the business to integrate socio-economic and environmental consideration into their operation, promoting inclusive and long-term value creation. They served as a precursor to the mandatory CSR requirements introduced later into the Company Act in 2013. In 2015, Securities and Exchange Board of India, that is SEBI, introduced the listing obligation and disclosure requirement, that is LODR regulation, to streamline and enhance the transparency, accountability, and the corporate governance and practice among the listed entities. The LODRA regulation consolidated previous listing agreement into a single comprehensive document, ensuring standardized disclosure requirement and compliance obligation for companies. Key provision includes timely disclosure of the material events, maintenance of the robust internal control framework, and stricter corporate governance norms such as the board composition and audit committee requirements. The LODR regulations aim to protect investor interests, promote fair practice, and foster a transparent security market in India. Now, continuing from my previous slide, I am going to discuss again the milestones of BRSR ESG reporting format. In 2016, the United Nations introduced the Sustainable Development Goal, a set of 17 interconnected goals designed to address global challenges and achieve a better and more sustainable future by 2030. The SDG covers a wide range of issues including the poverty eradication, quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, reduced inequality, and climate action. These goals emphasize the need for collaborative efforts among all sectors of society to ensure sustainable development goal globally. While in 2018, the Ministry of Corporate Affairs in India released National Voluntary Guidelines on Social, Environmental and Economic Responsibility of Business. These guidelines updated in 2011 version, emphasizing sustainable and responsible business practice. They are based on the 9 principles that covers various aspects of responsible business conduct such as ethical governance, sustainable development, employee well-being, stakeholder engagement, and respect for human rights. The NVG aims to guide business in integrating social, environment, and economic responsibilities into their operation, promoting inclusive growth and long-term value creation for all stakeholders. Further, the National Guidelines on Responsible Business Conduct, that is NGRBC, were developed by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs in 2019 to provide a framework for business to operate in a socially responsible and sustainable manner. These guidelines are an update to the previous National Voluntary Guidelines and are aligned with the global standards such as the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal and UN Guiding Principle on Business and Human Rights. The NGRBC are based on 9 principles that outline the expectations from business in terms of their economic, social, and environmental responsibility. Further, the Framework of Business Responsibility report was developed by SEBI in 2001, and the revised version for linking the GRI standard and SEBI BRR framework started in 2023. The Global Reporting Initiative, that is GRI standards, are widely recognized as a global framework for sustainable reporting. The Securities Exchange Board that is SEBI has linked the GRI standard with the business responsibility framework to enhance the comprehensive and comparability of sustainability disclosure by Indian companies covering economic, environmental and social impact in a standardized manner with the given equal importance to stakeholder engagement. The evolution of ESG reporting framework aims to create balanced approach that benefits business, investors and stakeholders. SEBI in 2023 introduced this balanced framework focus on comprehensive and reliable ESG disclosure, credible rating and informed investment decision. Later on, very recently, SEBI introduced Master Circular for ESG rating provider issued on May 16, 2024, established a comprehensive regulatory framework for ERPs in India. The circular aims to ensure transparency, consistency, and reliability in ESG ratings and facilitating informed investment decision and promoting sustainable business practice. It covers 5 key areas, that is registration requirement, rating operations, reporting and disclosure, internal audit procedure, and miscellaneous provision made for the rating providers. Overall, it is imperative to learn that through these framework, Indian business are encouraged to contribute positively to economy, society, and the environment while ensuring their long-term success and resilience. Now we shall discuss progresses of ESG reporting framework formats. I would like to draw your attention to the efforts made over the last 3 weeks to compile all reporting formats for business responsibility and sustainability reporting in context of our country, India. We have explored how the concept has evolved through data collection format during the last 15 years. After extensive research, we selected first 5 reporting formats for discussion during this presentation. We will examine how concept of reporting format has evolved over time and how it has been slowly aligned with the international standard. We will discuss in detail the business responsibility report, that is BRR, and later extend it to the concept of business responsibility and sustainability report, that is BRSR, as a mandate by the Securities and Exchange Board of India, that is SEBI. Here we will discuss the 9 core business principles across various reporting formats and where necessary support them with examples and illustration. SEBI has also provided guidance for a balanced framework for ESG disclosure rating and investing, which will be covered in the separate forthcoming presentation for the viewers. We will continue the topic from my previous slide. This opening set of context of presentation highlighting the efforts made to compile research various reporting formats for business responsibility and sustainability reporting in India. It outlined the plan to discuss the evaluation of these formats, their alignment with international standards, and the 9 core principles business across different formats. The passage also mentioned the upcoming discussion on SEBI's guideline for ESG disclosure, rating, and investing before the transitioning to understand the difference between BRR and BRSR reporting format. Besides, we will also discuss the Master SEBI's circular for ESG rating providers issued on May 16, 2024, establishing a comprehensive regulatory framework for ERPs in India. The circular mandates the specific ESG rating product and disclosure requirement and operational standard. It also addresses conflicts of interest, emphasizes technological integration, and outlines the future scope for professionals in the field. This initiative reflects SEBI's commitment to integrating the ESG factor into the financial ecosystem, enhancing the credibility of ESG rating for all stakeholders. Before we delve into different sustainable reporting formats, let us first understand the difference between the BRR and BRSR reporting format. Before we discuss the difference between BRR and BRSR, let us understand first the 9 core business principles and its relation with other variables. The National Voluntary Guidelines on Social, Environmental and Economic Responsibility of Business were released in Ministry of Corporate Affairs. In these guidelines provide a roadmap for business in India to become responsible and sustainable corporate citizen. The guideline designed around 9 core principles. First is related with the ethics, transparency and accountability. This includes developing governance practice, promoting ethical behavior and making a clear commitment to being a responsible business. The second is related with the product life cycle and sustainability. This involves sustainable sourcing, eco-friendly production and responsible waste disposal. The third is related with the employee well-being, providing at the workplace with equality, non-discrimination, workplace participation, fair remuneration, decent working condition, and comprehensive human resource policies. The next is related with the stakeholder engagement, especially those who are disadvantaged, vulnerable, and marginalized. This means identifying stakeholders, having process for stakeholder engagement and addressing the stakeholder concern. Next is related with the human rights in their operation and across their value chain of the business. They must avoid complicity with the human rights abuse and provide access to grievance redressal mechanism. Next is related with the environment, that is largely taking measures on emission, waste, energy and natural resources usage, biodiversity protection and environmental offset. The next is related with the policy advocacy, that is cornered to do so in responsible manner that avoid any unethical corrupt practice business. The next is related with the inclusive growth, that is equitable development through their core business process and strategies as well as corporate social responsibility initiatives. The next and the last is a customer value, which should be implemented in a responsible manner through a honest disclosure, fair marketing practice and mechanism for consumer complaints and resolution. The guidelines provided details on implementing each principle through suggested core element. While voluntary, the guidelines aim to provide a framework for responsible and sustainable business growth while contributing to inclusive national development. They serve as an important foundation for mandatory reporting requirement and disclosure norms that have been introduced subsequently. Further, the guidelines recognize that the business cannot succeed in the long run without inclusive and equitable growth that creates opportunity across society. They encourage understanding societal impact, developing equitable sourcing strategy, ensuring fair compensation and benefit sharing, and undertaking affirmative action initiatives and CSR projects to benefit disadvantaged communities. Continuing from my previous slides, now let us discuss how these 9 principles are valid with the ESG. These 9 principles are essential for fostering the sustainable business practice across the environmental, social, and governance domain. Collectively, they guide business towards integrating sustainability and responsible practice into their core operation, ensuring economic growth without compromising social equity and environmental integrity. From an environmental perspective, under the ESG Principle 269 emphasizes responsible environmental stewardship, sustainable practice along the value chain, protecting biodiversity and community engagement for equitable development. These principles urge businesses to adopt eco-friendly technology, manage waste responsibly, assess and mitigate their environmental impact, and ensure sustainable sourcing of raw material. Additionally, they highlight the importance of engaging with local communities, addressing their governance related to business environmental footprints, and prioritize the equitable development alongside the environmental protection. Together, these environmental principle guides businesses to operate sustainability, reducing their ecological footprint while providing the safe environmental consciousness product and services. By integrating environmental consideration into core operation, business can foster a more sustainable future for India, environments and society. Overall, adherence to these principles enable business to be responsible environmental stewardship while driving economic growth. Regarding the social aspect under ESG principle 3, 5 and 8 emphasizing safeguarding employee welfare, respecting human rights and facilitating inclusive development for all stakeholders, especially underprivileged communities. These principles mandates business to provide a safe and dignified workplace, uphold employees' rights, avoid discrimination practices and promote skill development. Additionally, they call for respecting human rights enshrined in the Constitution, supporting inclusive growth, and channelizing resources to empower marginalized sections. In essence, these social principles guide business to act responsibly towards their employees, uphold human rights across their value chain, and contribute to societal well-being through inclusive initiatives. By following these guidelines, businesses can create positive social impact alongside economic success, ultimately contributing to more equitable and just for a society. From a governance standpoint of view, under ESG, Principle 1, 4 and 7 highlights the need for robust framework that ingrain ethical business conduct, stakeholder engagement mechanism, governance redressal process, and in responsible policy advocacy aligned with the national priority. These principles call for a transparency, accountability, and stakeholder inclusiveness across all business operations. Collectively, these governance principles aim to establish a foundation that promotes ethical conduct, stakeholder trust, and responsible advocacy, thereby ensuring sustainable and inclusive business practices. Adherence to these guidelines enable business to foster long-term value creation for all stakeholders through ethical and transparent governance. In conclusion, these 9 principles under the ESG criteria collectively guide businesses towards integrating sustainability and responsible practice into their core strategy and operation. By embracing environmental stewardship, social equity, and ethical governance, business can drive economic growth while creating a positive impact for environmental, social, and all stakeholders, ultimately contributing to India's sustainable development. Well, this slide discusses the SDG with the national guidelines on responsible business conduct. The metrics illustrate the alignment between the core principle of doing business based on the national guidelines and responsible business conduct, that is NGRBC, in India, and 17 sustainable development goals adopted by United Nations. This alignment is indicative and highlights the interconnectedness between the SDG and the relevant principle of the NGRBC. The 17 SDGs adopted by the United Nations provide a universal blueprint for achieving a better and more sustainable future for all. These global goals addresses the critical challenges facing humanity, including poverty, inequality, climate change, environmental degradation, and access to quality education and healthcare. Each goal is interconnected and requires a collaborative efforts from government, civil society, and private sector. In India, NGRBC comprises the 9 principles, serves as a comprehensive framework to guide business toward the sustainable and responsible practice. These principles are closely aligned with the SDG, reinforcing the role of private sector in driving sustainable development. The alignment between the NGRBC principle and the SDGs is essential for fostering sustainable business practice that contribute to national global development agendas. The metrics help business integrate the SDGs into their core strategy by first the align goals. Business can align their objective with a specific SDGs relevant to their operation, ensuring their activities contribute to broader societal goals. For instance, a company focusing on clean energy can align with the SDG 7, that is affordable and clean energy, and SDG 13, climate and action. Next is related to the leadership commitment. Ensuring commitment from top management is crucial to embed sustainability into businesses culture. Leadership must champion sustainable initiatives and integrate them into the corporate strategy, ensuring long-term dedication to the SDGs. The next is related to the stakeholder engagement. Engaging stakeholders, including employees, customers, suppliers, and communities, helps businesses understanding their expectation and how the business can contribute to the SDGs. These engagement ensure that the business activities are aligned with the societal needs and the sustainable development goal. Next is related to the innovation, that is the most important. Encouraging the innovation is the key to drive sustainable solution in product, services, and process. Business can leverage technology and creativity to develop sustainable practice that align with the SDGs, such as the creating economic friendly product or adopting green manufacture process. The other is related to the partnership. Forming partnership with the government, NGOs, and other business amplify the impact of SDGs. Collaborative efforts can lead to shared resources, knowledge, and expertise, enhancing the effectiveness of the sustainability initiative. By amending these steps into their strategy, business can ensure that their efforts towards the sustainability are structured and effective. The metrics act as a guide, help business identify areas where they can make significant contribution to the sustainable development by adhering the NGRBC principle. In conclusion, the NGRBC serves as a comprehensive framework that aligns closely with the SDGs. By adhering to these principles, business can integrate sustainability into core strategy and operations, contributing to India's progress toward achieving the SDGs. This alignment helps create a more prosperous, equitable, and environmental sustainable future for all. The matrix thus provide a clear pathway for business to identify and leverage their roles in driving sustainable development, ensuring their operation not only benefits them but also society and the environment at large. Well, I said before we discuss the various reporting format, let us understand the difference between, or let us compare between BRR and BRSR. This table provides a comprehensive analysis between the business responsibility report, that is BRR, and the business's responsibility sustainable report, that is BRSR, mandated by Securities and Exchange Board of India, that is SEBI. The BRR was introduced in SEBI in 2012 for the top 100 listed companies and later extended to top 500 companies in 2017. It evolved from the Voluntary Corporate Social Responsibility, that is CSR guideline of 2009, and is based on the National Voluntary Guideline on Social, Environment and Economic Responsibility, that is NVG The BRR focuses on basic compliance CSR activities and covers 9 principles related to ethical business conduct and governance. It provides limited stakeholder information and basic disclosure on environmental initiatives, CSR initiatives, and corporate governance across 5 sections covering 59 questions in the annual report. While on the other hand, the BRSR was introduced by SEBI in 2021 and is mandatory for the top 1000 listed companies from financial year 2022-23 onwards. It was developed to address gap in BRR and enhance the transparency and ESG performance reporting. The BRSR is based on the National Guideline for Responsible Business Conduct and includes essential and leadership indicator covering detailed ESG matrices. It aligns with the global standard like GRI, SASB, and TCFD and requires detailed disclosure on stakeholder engagement process, environmental, emission, waste management, etc., social performance, that is labor practice, community development, etc., and governance structure, that is board diversity and executive compensation, etc. The BRSR has three sections in the annual report and MCA21 portal in XBRL format requires extensive quantitative and qualitative data for detailed ESG metrics across 140 questions, that is 98 are mandatory while 42 are related to leadership indicators. Before we move to business responsibility and sustainability reporting, let us see a business case relating these 9 principles. This slide presents a compelling business case for adopting the 9 principles that integrate social, environment, economic responsibility into business operation. These principles cover ethics, transparency, sustainability, sustainable product and services, employee well-being, stakeholder engagement, human rights, environmental protection, responsible advocacy, inclusive development, and customer value creation. Adhering to these principles can drive revenue growth and market access by attracting new customers, fostering customer loyalty, and positioning the company as a preferred business partner. It enables cost saving and productivity gain through reduced litigation, efficient value chain operation, and increased employee morale and attendance. Moreover, responsible conduct enhances access to capital and companies becoming attractive to investors, bank, and financial market by demonstrating effective and risk management and compliance. It mitigates regulatory action and non-compliant risk and negative perception and communities and NGOs securing the firm license to operate. Crucially, these principles contribute to building a strong human capital base by attracting and retaining talented employees who are motivated to work for an ethical and social conscious employer. This, coupled with a positive brand reputation among the customers, regulators, and media, enhance the company's brand value and overall reputation. By supporting inclusive development and incorporating the stakeholder feedback, companies can stimulate innovative thinking, tap into the new market, and access alternate funding sources like social venture funds. This fosters cordial relation with the stakeholders and government support for initiative. Overall, these 9 principles promote long-term sustainability by aligning business objectives with the societal interests, creating shared value for all stakeholders. Companies that embrace these guidelines can drive growth, mitigate risk, attract capital and talent, cultivate a favorable brand image, and contribute to well-being of the society and the planet. We will give a minute to give a glance to this matrix. Let us first discuss the business responsibility reporting framework. The reporting framework accordingly suggests the different approach that may be adopted by the three categories of entities. The first category of entities may not prepare a separate report for the purpose of these guidelines but furnish the same to their stakeholder along the details of the framework under which the BR report has been prepared and a mapping of 9 principles contained in this guidance to the disclosure made in the BR report. So, Part A of the report includes basic information and data about the operation of the business's entity so that the reading of the report becomes more contextual and comparable with other similar placed business. It may be written in a free format incorporating at least the following: the basic details of the businesses, name, nature of ownership, details of the people in the top management, location of the operation, national and international, product and services offered, markets served. Economic and financial data, sales, net profits, tax paid, total asset, market capitalism for all listed company, and number of employees working there. The second is A2, that is largely concerned with the management commitment statement to the ESG guidelines, priority in terms of principal and core element, reporting period cycle, whether the report based on these framework or any other framework, and significance risk that businesses would like its stakeholder to know. Lastly, any goal and target that were set by the top management for improving their performance during the reporting period. The second category of entities may furnish a simple communication to their stakeholders indicating their commitment to adoption of these guidelines in full or in part and the basic details of the activities undertaken in pursuation to these guidance. The communication may be in a free format and should be signed by the owner or a managing director of the CEO of the entity. Such entities are encouraged to see suggested framework for the third category and upgrade their BR communication on progressive and continuous basis. So part B of the report incorporates the basic parameter on which the business may report their performance. Efforts being made to keep reporting simple, keeping in view the fact that these framework is equally applicable to the small businesses, as well as the report may be prepared in free format with the basic performance indicator being included in the same. In case the business entity has chosen not to adopt or report on any of these principles, the same may be stated along with, if possible, the reason for not doing so. It is related to the 9 principles. The first principle is related emphasize the importance of ethics, transparency and accountability within the business operation, giving much impetus to establish robust governance structure, including committees under the board responsible for organizational oversight. This principle mandates mechanism for shareholders and employees to provide recommendation or direction to the board of the chief executive, while Principle 2 focuses on sustainable practice in product design and manufacturing. Principle 3 covers the aspect of employees' welfare and inclusive of women and persons with a disability and related to employees' grievance. Principle 4 involves identify and engaging with the stakeholders and disclosing significant issues discussed through formal dialogue with the various stakeholders group. Principle 5 requires companies to have a policy on the observing human rights within their operation and to report any human right violation. Principle 6 should disclose the information pertaining to the affecting environment through their process of production house related to water, carbon, energy, biodiversity, etc. While Principle 7 involves disclosing significant policy advocacy efforts and the platform used for such initiatives. Principle 8 much focuses on companies' community investment and development work, the financial resource deployed, and long-term impact of these efforts. Here, innovative practice that enhance the access to resource for marginalized group should also be disclosed. And Principle 9 focuses on providing adequate product information and including customer health and safety, usage, disposal method, and product standards. Companies should report on customer complaint related to the product safety, labeling, and disposal. For the entities in third category, the BR reporting framework is suggested, the framework identifies certain basic parameters on which the businesses can disclose their performance so as to demonstrate their adoption of these guiding guidelines in letter and spirit. It has been divided into two parts. Part A incorporates the basic information about the operation of the business entity so that the business responsible report can be a self-contained document, and Part B incorporates the performance indicator for different principles and core elements. While designing this framework, the reporting frameworks being used both nationally and internationally have been taken into account. So, part C of the report incorporates two important aspects of business responsible reporting. Part C1 is a disclosure on the business's entity on any negative consequences of its operation on the social, environment, and economic front. The objective is to encourage the business to report on this aspect a transparent manner so that it can channelize its efforts to mitigate the same. Part C2 aimed at encouraging the businesses to continuously improve its performance in the area of business responsibility. C1 is largely related brief report on any material significant negative consequences of operation of the business entity, while C2 brief on the goals and target in the areas of social, environment, and economic responsibility that the business entity has set for itself for the next reporting periods. So, part 1 of this presentation related to business responsibility reporting framework is ended. Now we shall move to part 2, that is related to the business responsibility and sustainability reporting.